From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
President Trump signs an executive order calling for accountability at the VA. How this protects whistleblowers like the one who exposed the Phoenix VA scandal. Plus, how biologists are working to create new plants that can survive climate change and what that means for the future of our food. And a new medical school is coming to Phoenix. We take a look at the high-tech facility.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Adriana de Alba.
And I'm Danielle Kernkamp. Thank you for joining us. Today, President Trump created an Office for Accountability and Whistleblower Protection at the Department of Veterans Affairs. One Arizonan was there to witness the signing of his executive order. Carla Liriano joins us with the details.
In 2015, an Arizona veteran working at the Phoenix VA nearly lost his job as an addiction counselor after he spoke out against hospital management. Brandon Coleman criticized how the VA treated suicidal veterans. We spoke with him 2 years ago about the retaliation he received from his employer.
I came forward because of the suicidal vets. I was accused of threatening an employee when they said they couldn't fire, when the director was told he couldn't fire me for telling the truth on the news. So I was removed, taken out of my position 2 weeks later.
Coleman was placed on administrative leave for 18 months, but today he was invited to Washington, D.C. to witness the president's efforts to protect VA whistleblowers like him.
With the creation of this office, we are sending a strong message. Those who fail our veterans will be held, for the first time, accountable. At the same time, we will reward and retain the many VA employees who do a fantastic job.
Trump also announced a new website that will publish wait times at every VA medical center in the country to improve transparency. Coleman was one of several whistleblowers who exposed mismanagement at VA centers across the country. Last year, President Trump campaigned for office with the improvement of veterans' care as one of his key issues. In the broadcast center, Carla Liriano, Cronkite News.
Another key Arizonan was in Washington this week, making the case for supporting public education. Cronkite News reporter Maricela Ramirez caught up with Arizona's Teacher of the Year after her White House visit.
Michelle Dougherty's first trip to D.C. was just like anyone else's. She visited the Lincoln Memorial, Washington Memorial, and the White House. But unlike your average tourist, she met the President of the United States.
Well, he showed his appreciation for teachers and thanked us for what we do and how the impact that we have on our students and on this country.
Betsy DeVos and other government officials also met with the teachers. Dougherty, the Arizona Teacher of the Year, said officials do not see the impacts of their policies in classrooms and that teachers want their voices heard.
We're always hopeful. We're hoping that our voice can be as strong as it can be, is that we can pull it back and show the importance of public education. Just in Arizona alone, 80% of our kids attend public schools. That's a huge number.
Dougherty said that this is the case for many states, and these teachers want to share their stories that show the significance of public education.
Maybe there's one story out there that is going to have an impact, that's going to resonate with that one person that can make a difference, that has a stronger voice than us, that is sitting at that table, since we're not. Maybe that one voice can be our voice that's actually listening.
The Teacher of the Year said that she invited DeVos to visit Arizona. But for the meantime, she's excited to share her stories with her first graders when she returns home to Arizona. Reporting in Washington, Maricela Ramirez, Cronkite News.
According to the National Center on Family Homelessness, in the United States, 1 in every 30 children is homeless. Some don't know where they're sleeping that night or where their next meal is coming from. I spoke to a nonprofit and a homeless education liaison in Arizona to see how our state lines up with these statistics.
Children shouldn't feel hunger, ever.
The latest data from the Arizona Department of Education shows that of the 2.5 million homeless students in our country, 29,000 are in our state. 18,000 of these students are doubled up, which means they're living with another family.
You have a lot of grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends of the family, other individuals taking care of these children.
Pamela Morrison from Phoenix Rescue Mission says the long-term effects of homelessness are devastating.
They don't know where they belong. Kids don't know what it means to have a safe place every day. They don't know that they're going to have a meal every day.
Despite the success stories that these women have witnessed, they say there's a long road ahead.
It is my strong hope that, that our country recognizes the importance of giving these students the opportunities to be everything that they can be.
I had always hoped that I'd work myself out of a job, and I can't.
Some valley biologists are turning to Arizona's desert climate to help feed the hungry all around the world. Cronkite News reporter Cassidy McDonald gives us a look at the research.
According to United Nations Food and Agriculture Report, an estimated 795 million people around the world suffer from chronic undernourishment. Many scientists say this is largely due to increased droughts and a rapid decrease in the amount of crops and land available to produce fresh food. ASU biologist Roberto Gaxiola hopes to help solve this problem by creating new plants that can survive in harsher conditions.
We have abuse the land. You need to have plants that grow with low fertilization regimens and still produce high amounts of yield.
Roberto Gaxiola and his team at ASU School of Life Sciences are able to manipulate plants to grow larger through increasing the presence of a gene.
We're working with the proton pyrophosphatase, a gene that is present in every single green thing and every plant. It's also present in bacteria. It's much to say that this gene alone will help to solve the food insecurity problem. It's a step in the right direction.
The genetically modified or transgenic plants that Gaxiola grows have stronger root systems, allowing for the plants to better absorb water and nutrients.
The upregulation of this gene has been tested in at least 17 crops, and in all of them the result is the same. Plants are larger, they are drought resistant, they produce higher yields.
Transgenic plants often receive negative attention due to unproven health claims and tight regulation. Many believe in order for transgenic plants to become mainstream, the public's perception will need to change.
Whenever people talk about transgenic plants, I think people directly invoke of thoughts like Frankenstein, something that's scary that comes out of the lab. There are no scientific studies proving the fact that transgenics are harmful in any way.
Gaxiola and his team believe the use of transgenic plants will allow for more people to have access to fresh food in the future.
You can actually grow crops more efficiently in lands that are now not very useful. They have the capacity of acidifying the soil better, and looks like that helps the plants to acquire nutrients.
With climate change and diminishing land, the team believes transgenic plants could be the solution to feeding our growing population. Gaxiola's method has proven to be effective for foods such as rice, tomatoes, lettuce, and alfalfa. Gaxiola's transgenic plants are also salt and drought tolerant, meaning fields with salty soil could now be usable. Cassidy McDonald, Cronkite News.
According to the U.S. News and World Reports, the Mayo Clinic is the #1 hospital in Arizona, and starting in July, medical students can begin taking classes there. Reporter Amanda Luberto has a look inside the new medical school campus.
The Mayo Clinic Arizona branch is getting an addition, a new medical school. Opening in July with a class of 50 students, the school plans to focus on more than just medicine.
You're not smart anymore as a physician because you know some small detailed fact. You're great as a physician if you know how to communicate to patients, to work in teams, and how to access information.
The medical school is equipped with interactive classrooms, a student lounge, simulated offices where teachers can watch students and give feedback, and cadaver labs set up with touchscreen technology. In a 2016 report, the medical field was one of the fastest growing jobs in Arizona. Matthew Benson, spokesperson for the Arizona Hospital and Healthcare Association, says that keeping doctors within Arizona is extremely important.
That is a long-standing problem. Getting the individuals that train here, that go through medical school, to stay here.
According to the Association for American Medical Colleges, Arizona ranks 34th in active medical physicians per 100,000 residents, creating a doctor shortage in the state. Shaw is hoping that adding a medical school at the Mayo Clinic could help ease the shortage of doctors in Arizona. In Scottsdale, Amanda Luberto, Cronkite News.
In an effort to keep class sizes small, the Mayo Clinic Medical School in Arizona will only accept 200 applicants over the next 4 years.
It's no longer against state law to have medical marijuana on college and university campuses. The Arizona Court of Appeals made that ruling earlier this month. But as Trevor Fay reports, the ruling isn't a complete victory for users.
Maricopa County Attorney Bill Montgomery gave his analysis of the case that made it illegal for the state legislature to criminalize possession of medical marijuana on college campuses.
So to the extent that the defendant in the case was a qualified medical marijuana patient under the Medical Marijuana Act, the provision in question that penalized for criminal purposes the possession of marijuana on a college campus exceeded the authority of the Medical Marijuana Act.
But that doesn't mean students can freely possess it on campus. The court went on to say the state and other landowners can still regulate what's brought onto their property.
The only thing that was curious about the argument made by the state is that it doesn't appear to have included an argument that Arizona's Medical Marijuana Act is preempted by the Federal Controlled Substances Act. And that's something that a state court needs to address squarely.
Elaine Burns is the medical director of Southwest Medical Marijuana Evaluation Center in Scottsdale. She specializes in the therapeutic benefits of cannabis and spoke out about how the Arizona Appellate Court's ruling only solved part of the problem for medical marijuana patients.
There's still definitely a discrimination and a prejudice against the student living on campus who has a bona fide medical condition that cannabis therapeutically would help them with.
Burns says patients don't get to come into her office until they've been screened and qualified for use of medical marijuana. Once a patient has been confirmed, Burns says she gives them a physical as the last step before granting the patient their medical card. The Arizona Board of Regents sent Cronkite News a statement saying Arizona State University, Northern Arizona University, and the University of Arizona have all indicated they will continue to enforce the laws set forth under the Drug-Free Workplace Act, Drug-Free Schools and Communities Act, and Controlled Substances Act. In Phoenix, Trevor Fay, Cronkite News.
Being forced into industries like sex trafficking can be extremely traumatic for the victims.
But the struggles don't end once they're out of the industry. Coming up on Cronkite News, how a Valley organization is helping girls readjust to daily life.
Plus, chemicals in processed meats could be linked to cancer. How to make sure the food you and your family are eating is safe. Next.
I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now. Now.
Governor Doug Ducey signed a new law to help prosecute sex traffickers. But according to data and experts from the Office of Sex Trafficking Intervention Research at Arizona State University, many trafficking victims never press charges, leaving traffickers on the streets. But that isn't the only hurdle when tackling sex trafficking, as investigative reporter Megan Finnerty found out.
Exiting sex trafficking and finding a new normal is not easy for victims, and Cronkite News found providing support or justice for the victims is not any easier. The new research looked at 159 cases in Las Vegas, but sex trafficking is a national issue. This nondescript building in Glendale is home to Streetlight USA, a transitional program designed to give love and support to victims of sex trafficking.
Go get breakfast and everything.
But the girls struggle as their life structure transitions from being controlled by their trafficker to needing to get up, get ready, and once again go to school.
We gotta get out of here.
They do want a normal life, and that this is not something that initially they understand that they've gotten involved with, but over time they do start to realize, once they see what a normal life is like, that their life is abnormal.
In these cottages, the program tries to cut the girls off from their high risk or trafficked past. Kaylin graduated the program after trying 11 other places,
But at Streetlight, her transition stuck.
You know, really invite you in and make you feel like you should stay and like you should, you know, work on yourself and better your life.
Girls have been here ranging from days to years. But according to the CEO, problems outside of the fence, in licensing and identification processes, they can't provide the girls all the support they need here.
There's huge gaps in the system as to why it's not working. Most of the kids that we know that are trafficked, it's not on their record. Because unless a child's been criminalized, then how does the system recognize them?
Streetlight needs state approval for medical attention and separate approval for therapy. And more regulations leave empty beds.
We are a facility that can house 60 kids. Why is it that we only have 2 houses full?
When trafficking victims aren't identified, the oversight is harmful, preventing girls a chance at the Streetlight program. In Phoenix, Dignity Health launched a campaign to train medical staff to notice the signs of human trafficking.
I've worked on victims of human trafficking and never realized what it was. I knew something was wrong, but there was something there that didn't click.
The Arizona Human Trafficking Council has guidelines for best practice, addressing that trafficking is an extremely complex issue.
For how communities can work together to address trafficking issues in a way that's not only trauma-informed and victim-centered, but also in a way that we make sure that our law enforcement are able to hold perpetrators accountable.
But that's an issue as well, due to both the victims and the lack of prosecution. Dominique Rose-Sepowitz is the director at the Office of Sex Trafficking Intervention Research at ASU, and her team looked at 159 Las Vegas cases in 2014. Only 24% of victims were cooperative concerning collection of evidence or aiding in the arrest and prosecution of their trafficker, and only 16.3% of minors trafficked were cooperative. Nearly 75% of the cases were never filed, and 95% of the traffickers had previous arrest histories.
We find them a year later in another case. They're victimizing young people. They're doing really violent, horrible, torturesome things to them, and maybe that victim doesn't participate either, and then back out into the community that trafficker goes.
Creating a vicious cycle. Traffickers abuse more girls, creating more victims. But red tape keeps organizations from being able to transition these girls from victims to survivors.
My question becomes, do we as a society really want to support these girls? Because if we do, we really need to make changes in how they are being served and how they are being identified.
We reached out to the Arizona Department of Health Services to further understand the restrictions in licenses, but we are unable to get a response. With the investigative team, Megan Finnerty, Cronkite News.
Applying for college is a stressful process.
But for some students, other obstacles make it even harder. Coming up on Cronkite News, how a high school senior earned over $100,000 in scholarship money, all on his own.
And it's sunny and 91 in Phoenix right now, but how long will these winds stick around? I have your answer coming up next.
Heaven knows you're a dreamer. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't hide it from anyone. Hey, would you believe me if I said we are here for a reason now? This is our life. This is what counts.
Research by the World Health Organization shows processed meat could increase the risk of cancer in young adults. Improving school lunches could be a part of the solution. Cronkite News Los Angeles reporter Lauren Negrete spoke with one nonprofit that's heading to court in hopes of changing our kids' choices.
It's lunchtime at this Los Angeles middle school. While these kids chow down, one doctor at the University of Southern California fears some of the food on their plates is harmful.
Eating processed meat increases the risk of cancer, particularly colorectal cancer, and therefore it was found to be carcinogenic. So we classified as a group 1 carcinogen, which is the highest category. It's the same category as tobacco.
Dr. Stern worked with the World Health Organization to find eating 50 grams of processed meat a day, about 1 hot dog, escalates risk by 18%.
So more kids are obese, more kids have diabetes, and all these are risk factors for colorectal cancer.
It's with that in mind, a nonprofit group, the Physicians Committee, is suing the Los Angeles Unified School District.
The whole goal is to get everyone eating more healthy, whole food, plant-based diets, because we know that that's the #1 way to reduce your risk for chronic disease.
Those like colorectal cancer and many others, it may take decades for the cancer to form. So we should really be worrying about what we're doing in our youth.
It's a worry on the mind of Phoenix Union High School District, which is actively trying to limit processed meats.
And if we can eliminate processed meats in the future, we will. But at the same time, these are some things that students are requesting.
In the meantime, Dr. Stern suggests thinking of processed meats like a weekly treat, or red meats.
So it's about 18 ounces per week, something like that. So the equivalent would be, if you imagine, a small hamburger per day.
Good advice, no matter what lunch line you're in. In Los Angeles, Lauren Negrete, Cronkite News.
If you're in search of a good meal that can also help others stay healthy, you're in luck. Today's National Dining Out for Life Day, and restaurants around the country are helping charities supporting HIV and AIDS. Near downtown Phoenix, McAlpine's Diner is one of more than 20 Valley restaurants that are giving some or all of their sales today to the Southwest Center for HIV and AIDS.
Funds go towards HIV testing, towards medication. The center also does lunch and learns to learn about financial literacy, also about different aspects of the community and kind of how to develop yourself as a citizen living with HIV and AIDS.
Yes, definitely. It's nice to definitely nice to donate money to charity. It's a really cute place, and yeah, it's very sweet. So it's a great place. We'll be back, and yeah, I also feel good about it.
If you want to dine out for life today, you can go to swhiv.org to find out all of the participating restaurants in the Valley.
It's a beautiful day to walk to any of those restaurants, but I did notice it's a little bit windy.
That's right. We're seeing some above average winds here in the Valley, and they'll be sticking around through the end of the week. But as for right now, we're seeing 91 degrees and mostly sunny skies here in Phoenix, and those winds are about 15 to 25 miles an hour coming from the southwest. But look at these winds across the Valley right now. We're seeing 18 over in Glendale, 14 in Phoenix, 19 in Chandler. And for your drive home tonight, they're going to be about the same, 14 in Scottsdale and 17 down in Casa Grande. But by tomorrow morning, they'll be picking up a little bit, 13 in Mesa, 13 in Chandler, and then even higher in those low 20s across the board, 23 in Casa Grande and 20 in Scottsdale. But if we look at temperatures across the Valley, we're basically seeing low 90s across the board right now, but these are going to dip down tonight. And tomorrow morning, we'll actually be seeing some of those low 60s, even high 70s. But if you take a look at temperatures tomorrow, they'll still be increasing. But take a look at our 7-day forecast right here for the weekend forecast. We'll be seeing those low 80s across the board. Danielle Kernkamp, Cronkite Weather.
With summer approaching, many high school seniors are looking ahead to college. I went to Phoenix Collegiate Academy High School in South Phoenix to meet a student who did not let obstacles get in the way of his dream.
Like many seniors, Adam Jackson was anxious about getting into college.
I was applying for colleges and I feel like I'm not going to get into any of these.
But the South Phoenix student has been accepted to 8 different colleges across the country.
I want to say ever since I was small, like a little child. My grandparents and my dad, they've always told me that I can do anything if I just like apply myself.
Jackson has had a lot to overcome. He was abandoned by his mother at the age of 3, and he could not share the exciting news about college with his father.
He wouldn't know because like he died like a year ago.
He lost his father as he was studying for college entrance exams and beginning to apply to colleges.
It threw me off. Like, it's still throwing me off right now. Like, I'm still trying to like pick myself back up from that. It's been like hard.
But his hard work has paid off. He's been offered more than $140,000 in scholarships. Jackson hopes his father is smiling from above.
My motivation, that thing that I've been holding on to, is like my dad. He always told me to like go out and do way better than he ever did.
Graduation day is May 23rd, which also happens to be Dad's birthday.
I kind of want to think of it as like my gift to him.
And Adam Jackson has decided to attend a private liberal arts college. Next year, he's headed to Bowdoin College in Maine.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, we'll get an economic analysis of President Trump's tax cut proposal and a visit with 60 Minutes correspondent Leslie Stahl. That's the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, our Making Sense team looks at the effect of rising prescription drug prices on the overall cost of health care. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.